Good morning, cadets. Today I'll be taking up the poem Dust of Snow by Robert Frost. Robert Frost was born on March 26, 1874 in San Francisco, California, and died on 29th January 1963 in Boston. He is an American poet and who was much admired for his depiction of the rural life and his realistic verse portraying ordinary people in everyday situation. His notable works, definitely we have read the poem The Road Not Taken, The Death of the Hired Man, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, Mending Wall, A Boy's Will. These are the notable works by Robert Frost. The poem Dust of Snow by Robert Frost is a brief poem and it conveys a message how human judgment on some issues or certain issues can sometimes be incorrect. The poet depicts the crow and the hemlock tree as reason for the changed mood and increased optimism of the poet. Dust of Snow is definitely a beautiful but short poem written by Robert Frost. This poem tells us that even a simple moment has a large impact and importance or significance. The poet has mentioned crow and hemlock tree in the poem. Crow signifies depressive and sorrowful mood. So, a crow is the symbol of depression and sorrow. And hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. Both of these signify that the poet was not in a good mood. And so, he describes dark, depressive and bitter side of nature to present his similar mood. In such a bad depressive mood, the poet was sitting under a hemlock tree. So hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. A crow sitting on the same tree shook off the dust of snow. So a crow was sitting on the tree, that is hemlock tree, and it shook a dust of snow. Small particles of snow that remain on the surface after the snowfall on the poet. This simple action changed the poet's mood. The poet was in a depressive and sorrowful mood, but he realized that he had just wasted a part of his day repenting and being lost in sorrow. After that dust of snow fell on him, he realized simply he wasted the day thinking about the past. But the change in his mood made him realize that he should utilize the rest of the day in some useful activity. His sorrow was washed away by the light shower of dust of snow. His spirit was revived, so he became again full of josh and enthusiasm, and he got ready to utilize the day constructively. So the theme is very beautiful that sometimes our judgment on some issues or problems is not correct. We should not sit and lament or feel sorry for the past and waste our future. We should always be positive and change our mood and revive and live life at the fullest. So here's the poem for you, A Dust of Snow by Robert Frost. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. The poet is upset, unhappy, and was sitting under the hemlock tree. Suddenly, a crow sitting on the tree shakes the particles of snow from the tree which fall on the poet. The soft and the cold touch of snow changes the poet's mood from sad to happy. He starts feeling soothed and refreshed. In this way, a simple moment proves to be very important and significant, which helps to save the rest of the day of the poet from being wasted and held in regret. So, the dust of snow which falls on him changes his mood and increases his optimism. He becomes very positive. So, in this poem, Dust of Snow, the poet wants to convey that sometimes certain moments or actions which are simple have larger importance or significance. They can change the mood of the person or life of a person. The way the crow shakes down the dust of snow on the poet inspires and gives him the idea to shake off his depressive and sad thoughts and to become cheerful and to do something constructive and useful instead of wasting the rest of the day. It is a very bold and beautiful message that a simple incident can be capable of pulling out a man from depression and change his outlook about how he sees this world. Did you notice that poet has used crow and hemlock? Crow is not a very beautiful bird and hemlock tree is a poisonous tree. Then why has he used them? So the poet wants to convey that even in the most negative situation, sometimes a small thing like dust of snow can have a positive effect. The crow and hemlock tree represent sorrow, but the crow was sitting on the hemlock tree and shakes off the hemlock tree, and a dust of snow falls on the poet, and the whole thought process of the poet is changed. So the poet was in a depressive and sorrowful mood. In such a mood, One cannot think of sweet and beautiful side of nature. So the harsh, bitter and poisonous images come to his mind. So the poet has used uncommon and harsh bird like crow and poisonous tree like hemlock. Usually poets write poems about parrots, peacocks or doves. But here Robert Frost has used crow because he is in a negative mindset. And he uses the hemlock tree, which is a poisonous tree, instead of using some oak tree, maple tree, or pine tree. He has used a hemlock tree. So he was very unhappy and depressed when the dust of snow fell on him. His mental state changed. He comes out of his depression and decides not to waste his day. Now he wants to do something very positive and useful. The shower of snow or the dust of snow shaken by the crow improves the poet's mood. Perhaps Robert Frost is trying to say that even something one usually associates with negative can have a positive impact. So, his symbols, that is the crow and hemlock tree, is very deep and meaningful. Both of these, that is the crow and the hemlock tree, represent dark, depressive, sorrowful, and bitter side of nature. But these are very instrumental in pulling out the poet from his depressive mood. So he has used crow and hemlock in his poem. A dust of snow means snowflakes. The falling of the snowflakes on the poet Robert Frost has changed his mood. He was very unhappy and in depression. The poet was initially in a state of depression, but when the snowflakes or a dust of snow falls on him, this simple act lifts his depression and his mood changes for better. It changes him so much that he thinks about doing something useful and constructive. So, a dust of snow is a very simple thing, and the symbols crow and hemlock tree are negative symbols. But these simple things change the mind of Robert Frost. That is, he was in a depressive state of mind and he becomes very positive and decides to do something useful and constructive. The poem The Dust of Snow describes a simple moment which has larger significance. Lost in the sorrow, the poet has wasted a part of day just thinking about the loss and repenting. He wasted thinking why that happened to me, what will I do, how am going to come out of this. But just a dust of snow changes his mood, and then he realizes how he has wasted a part of the day thinking uselessly. Now he wants to utilize the rest of the day in some useful activity. So always remember, even a simple incident can be capable of pulling out a man from a very depressive mood and bring him to a positive outlook, and he sees the world in a different manner. Once again, the poem for you. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. Has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. Analysis. The way a crow, the black crow is commonly a symbol of death or fear, shook down on me the dust of snow. Since the crow is not associated with goodness, it is ironic that in this poem it is doing a good deed by shaking the snow from the hemlock tree. From a hemlock tree is usually associated with poison and toxicity. Anyway, the beautiful snow that adorns the poisonous hemlock tree's branches are shaken off by a scary crow. Has given my heart a change of mood. The poet uses the element of the fearsome crow and poisonous hemlock tree to do something good. Shake the white, pure snow off the branches. This good act lifts the spirit of the person and causes the man to get enlightened inside. Thank you.
Good morning to one and all, respected Asha ma'am and all my dear friends. Today at Cycle at Kashanok going to speak on the topic education as a base of life. We hear many times that education intention is to get a job, learning for living. But actually education is the process by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased and making child creative, as a result of which one can stand on his own feet. Before Britishers come to India, there were Gurukulas and they, they were educating a child mind as well as heart. In 18th century, the British who came in the name of spices had gained political control over India, and for their children, they started opening schools. In 1828, William Bentinck appointed Macaulay as a chairman of education committee. In 1835, March 7, first school opened in India. With British children, Indians also started to go with them because of job offers. In those days, who know English, they were offered a job. Many times people say that they are learning in a school for the sake of exam or to get a job. But think a while, does it add up? Will this reason makes a child or youth to be curious to know their surroundings? Curiosity comes naturally in childhood, but it decreases when child is grown up because he is going to school only in the sake of exam. When a child asks his father how wind is getting produced in this fan, so father said, "Don't worry about it. It is not coming in the examination." Father unknowingly killed his child's curiosity. It is small example how curiosity is getting decreased. Nowadays we just see people, our child, only literated. Teaching how to read and write, it is just called literation. With this, making child creative is known as education. Thank you one and all.
Good morning to you all, respected Asha ma'am and all my dear friends. I created Virubhadra going to speak on the topic difference between fact and opinion. A fact is a statement that cannot be proven true or false. An expression of a person's feeling that cannot be proven. Opinions can be based on the facts or an emotion. Sometimes they are meant to be deliberately mislead others. Therefore, it is important to be aware of the author's purpose and the choice of language. Sometimes the author lets the facts speak for themselves. The following is an example of a fact. With the fewer cars on the road, there would be less air pollution and traffic noise. Therefore, the use of mass transportation should be encouraged. Sometimes the author may use a despectful language to appeal to your emotions and sway your thinking. The following is an example of an opinion. Do you like looking at a smoggy view from a congested highway? How do you feel about fighting a road hugs and bumper to bumper traffic every day? Mass transportation is a solution to all these problems. Therefore, when you read, it is important to judge the facts and opinions carefully. In order to come to the right conclusion, ask yourself, are the facts reliable or are the opinions based on the facts? Once you answer these questions, you may be on the right track for finding and sticking to the facts. So, you be the judge.
One and all present our respected Asha ma'am and all my dear friends. Today at Sacred Sidra going to speak on the topic talent versus hard work. Talent is an inborn quality that gives you a smart way to achieve. Talent is futile unless you go for it. One should never sit on a cuff and expect for a good result. Just because you have talent doesn't mean you can go on the field and be the star of the team. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. Whereas hard work is more important than talent, because talent will only carry one so far. If one is not willing to put in the work to harvest and cultivate their talent, then the talent itself is essentially useless. Talent gives you a head start, but hard work makes you finish the race. We all heard that hard work is the key to success, but sometimes the talent overpowers hard work and people get better outcome. Most of the time, the application of hard work talent becomes futile. Therefore, hard work is more important than natural talent. Over the years, researchers have discovered that hardworking capacity is a major component of intellectual ability, predicts success in a wide variety of complex activities. The definition of success is complete when it includes the formula of hard work in it. In the absence of hard work, the presence of success cannot be observed. One can never achieve success being idle or waiting another opportunity. Success only comes to those persons who do not step backwards because of the fear of the hard work that they have put in it. Idleness is a curse which hinders everyone's step towards their goal. Thus, to conclude, thank you.
Good morning to you all. Today I am Cadet Basuraj going to speak on the topic media. Media are the means of global information. Thanks to them, people all around the world can get to know about what happens in all the places in the world. Several years ago, the greatest media were press, radio, and television. Nowadays, the most powerful medium is internet. Internet provides also the flexibility to communicate. Internet is at the same time a form of entertainment. You can meet people on chats, watch movies, play games, and do many more things. It is also possible to get education through internet. Nowadays, we all are learning through internet in our homes due to COVID. And the second modern media is TV. TV is the main source of information and the entertainment. There are people who can spend long hours watching TV. If you are interested in the news, you may find channels which provides newest information from the whole world all the time. Television is a very influential and strong medium. It gives us the information, shows what happens in the world. I know many people who cannot imagine their lives without TV. They consider it also as a source. Most people want to be well informed about many important things happening in the world. All agencies connected with media send their correspondents to all the possible places in the world. In my opinion, in today's modern era, media has become more attractive and addictive. Some people cannot imagine their lives without this media. They find it interesting and get addicted. Before I conclude my speech, let me tell you that news stands for North, East, West, South. Thank you, and